It's me, Mr. Moohead, and welcome to the Cleveland Browns postgame show with the final score. The Cleveland Browns 19, the Buffalo Bills 17. I'm basically going to wait to see viewers as they show up here to the program so we can have fun with this. But obviously, it's already been said, and this is the thing that's mystifying. And I'll be able to watch this play again, and I'm sure it will be shown on media, that Baker looked the other way, and his chemistry with Rashard Higgins is what made that touchdown pass. Rashard Higgins ran a pattern that was an out pattern and then cut back in behind the defensive back. It was a stack play to the left. Higgins was by himself on the right. The only time in the passing game that Rashard Higgins was the source of the play. The only other plays I saw Rashard Higgins on the field, he was as a blocker. All right? He was not being used as a receiver, in essence, because none of the play calls were for him. On the other hand, this time he was isolated on the right side, and he got on the out pattern and then sneaked in. And Baker threw the ball inside where he was supposed to, and that's exactly where Higgins went. Now, it makes you wonder, would Kadarius Dodge have been able to do that? Antonio Callaway, would he have had the presence to do that? No. I don't think so. What I tend to believe is Higgins has chemistry and the quarterback has been prevented to play with him. That is what I think. You know, I don't know. It feels good to win, yeah. And I'm glad for Baker that he had an opportunity to throw the pass and finally score in the red zone. You know, a little luck. You know, he threw it over the wrong shoulder, in essence, to Landry, who adjusted and made a nice catch. That's a 24-yard chunk that gets him close to the goal line. I feel good for him. I don't feel good for Freddie Kitchens because he's a moron. And this is exactly how I feel. You know, when the fat fuck's job is really on the line, who does he turn to? You know, Freddie, who you going to call? Yeah. You know, it wasn't just the offensive line that had zero push. The defensive line had no push. And in the final possession of the game, we were running blitzes because the defensive line, I don't know if you saw Chad Thomas. He's shucking and jiving and juking at the line of scrimmage. I don't know what he's doing, but nobody was penetrating except we did have TJ Carey come in and tip a ball. And you know, we had Mac Wilson running in at the quarterback, and we were blitzing in order to put a little pressure on Josh Allen. But no, the defensive line was getting no push either. Absolutely. The guy is an idiot. And I can... We're going to start something here today that we've never done before on the show, and this is your opportunity to ask Freddie. That's right. And anything that you want to ask this dim-witted moron, feel free, and I will answer for him, because that is, after all, my job. That's my job, too. And I'll be looking in the chat room to make sure that everybody is satisfied. You know, we missed him, didn't we? Hey, Toby, how you doing? Here's a good guy, old Toby. He's I'm going to bring Brian into the stream here. Brian, what do you have to say?
Wow, that was a heart attack in a bottle. I can't believe that dumb shit, once again, is not taking the points when they're readily available and running the same fucking play over and over again. against an 11-man front with no blocking up front, with no blocking from the line whatsoever. The guard play sucked.
It makes you wonder. I mean, there's a lot of questions.
And real quick, very good game by Kareem Hunt. Very. The only thing that I was wrong about, he did not have a 40-yard play. So,
hey, Alec, how you doing? Good to see you back in the chat room, buddy. We have Hammer Time who's going to jump in as well into the fray. Jim, speak your piece.
They're still so stupid. The only thing that's going to save Freddie is the fact that they have a very favorable schedule. As I said, 4 weeks ago, that there is a chance for them still to win more games than they lose. But they're so dysfunctional. The play calling, the stupid shovel pass inside when guys are coming free, no pressure. Freddie,
hold on a minute. Hold on. Jim Hammer, hold on a moment. This is Freddie Kitchens. I've been asked a question. And I'll try to read this to the best of my phonetic ability. Phonetic, F-O-N-E-T-I-K. Why throw the ball at your own 5-yard line for a safety, you jackass? Well, here's my answer to that, because the second I see the shadow of my goalpost behind me, the first thing I do is I go empty backfield so the other team knows that we're going to throw the ball, okay? That's first and foremost. And second of all, I run a series of crisscross patterns that force the quarterback to hold on to the ball too long. And that way, in the end, he'll end up getting sacked for a safety. I hope this really helps you to understand what I'm up to and why. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the question. Oops.
Now, Myron, get back in that kitchen and make me a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Freddie was just doing a little ventriloquism with you, right? That's why your mouth was moving? That's what it was. It was like, see there?
He's the dummy. He's the dummy.
Okay.
Hi, it's me.
He's the dummy. I'm the DJ.
I got the other question here. Hey, Freddie, my question is, why are you a fat-faced slob who couldn't coach a peewee team to a win? Well, I looked at that, and you know something? I guess the way I look at it is, if I had a peewee team, it's all about execution, and those little bastards just didn't, I tried coaching a peewee team, and they just could not execute. I told their parents, I told them honestly that we would get better, at it, and we didn't get better, so I was let go from the peewee team. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
I'm telling you, the extent of my coaching career is 6th grade football, and that I wouldn't have done. I mean, like you said, the shadow of your own goalpost, and you have probably the 3rd best running back, if not better, in the National Football League. Push yourself out a little bit, or you got to have a 1, 2, 3 and release the ball. You can't stand there and watch a guy coming right in your face. I'm like, there were too many of those things. No defensive pressure. We're sitting here. Actually, I went out to see the game today, and we're sitting there and we're counting 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. And Allen is still back there with time to throw. You can't do that. I'm like, thank goodness the defensive backs are there. Freddie, what are you thinking with this?
Well, for first, I got to answer this question because I got a bunch of questions being hurled at me. 7 tries from the 5, and you don't kick a field goal. What gives? The answer is our guy is 16 for 16. There's just no room for error in that. I mean, he makes it every time. If I let him go out and kick the field goal, I got the lead. We don't want that now, do we? I hope you understand. I'm going to answer all these questions for Freddie.
I thought Freddie was answering those. He sounds like it.
You're breaking up. Your sound is awful, Hammer. I think maybe
he's at the fucking.
I'm at the bar.
I wish I was at the bar.
He's at the Buffalo Wild Wings.
You know, I went to school at the University of Alabama with a bunch of other illiterate rednecks, and, you know, we still suck Bear Bryant's dick down there, and he's stone cold, worse than Steve Austin. And we still suck, you know, that's what you call sucking down a cold one in Tuscaloosa. Thank you. Please give up the play calling and turn it over to who? I mean, the fact of the matter is, did the man who was driving the Titanic, did he turn it over to his first in charge when he saw the iceberg coming? No, he rammed the ship right into it and took it down. I hope you understand. You're going to get a lot of interesting answers from Freddie. That I can tell you. That I can guarantee you. And this is a good point. Kareem Hunt's blocking. It was nice to see he could do more than hit people just randomly in society. He actually did. He threw some good blocks, and that was nice. You know,
and
something.
Made some great catches too.
Yeah. Can I get some trestle ball, please? You know, honestly, I don't think him and his conservative vest would remind me too much of Marty Schottenheimer, and I just would not be into it at all. I'm sorry. It would just make me vomit.
I think the trestle ball comment is get the sure 3 points, but at least that's where I was going. But that supposedly ESPN said that was an NFL record for a utility. It hasn't happened in 26 years in the National Football League of that many tries from first and goal. So, you know, hey, we're number one in something, Freddie.
Well, let me tell you something, that futility rhymes with utility, okay? And that's my saying. If you're futile, we're util. So I mean,
Freddie,
if you can't understand
utility belt.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Futility and utility go hand in hand. And, you know, nobody ever succeeded who didn't fail. And the fact is, we succeeded today because we didn't fail like we usually do. You're asking me this question, Brian. What happened on the safety? I'll tell you what I saw happen on the safety. That's a 3-step drop, and Baker's got to get rid of the ball out on the left flat to Kareem Hunt, who's wide open. You see him out of the corner of the picture on the replay, and he was open, and he just was looking over the middle, and the middle was covered, and instead of just, you know, this was a one-read scenario, and they covered the middle and left Kareem Hunt wide open, and there, you know, and he looked at the middle, and there was no time for a second read. So, again, I think the predictability of the play call when you have an empty backfield, so you know that we're going to throw the football on our own 7-yard line, you know, it is indecipherable. Why you would do that, I don't understand it. But there's a lot I don't understand. But it looked to me that Kareem Hunt was open, but it looked like the single read was probably to Jarvis Landry, as always, over the middle. So, you know.
Yeah, basically a replay of the Denver play at the end of the game.
Here's something I wanted to bring up, because I know this question. First, I wanted to bring up my lunch, but second of all, what I want to bring up here is that negated touchdown where the Bills returned a bungled play. My apologies to Marvin Lewis. I wouldn't use that word under normal circumstances. Sorry, buddy. But, you know, I'm looking back at that play, and that was the big turnaround, and it's a darn good thing that I called that play. Same play I called that was intercepted, if you remember, because we allowed penetration. And there was penetration on that play too. And I wanted to get that. I'm going to keep calling that play in critical situations until we get that right, because we're going to get better. I keep promising everybody we're going to get better. And what better way than calling the same plays over and over again in critical situations? Now, in that situation, it was obvious that Baker was pitching the ball. Now, the fact that it was going to Kareem, who hadn't been with the team all year on a timing play in a critical juncture of the game, well, that's what we do. We integrate our players, unlike Tuscaloosa back in the 60s. I don't know if I can get away with that, but I'll try. So I just want to assure everybody that you'll be seeing that play again real soon. You'll see it running the other direction. In all seriousness, that play is a microcosm of Freddie Kitchens. That was the exact same play that, and I lose track of all the games, but I guess it was the Denver game that was intercepted, remember? And there was somebody in the backfield again, and there was no, if you look, had the pitch been completed to Kareem Hunt, there were two guys in the backfield. It was like, it doesn't fool anybody. It didn't fool anyone. It was just like, oh my God, it was just awful. Just an awful play call. I'm just reading the comments, you know. We had a saying back in Tuscaloosa about putting your finger in the dike. I guess that was the answer to that. I don't control Freddie's answers, folks. I just don't. I just give them to you. So you know.
So are you saying that Freddie got fingered?
Oh, there you go. Good. I'll tell you, one person who's going to blame somebody is Mac Wilson. He's got to have LSU burned into his haircut. That's got to be painful, man. That's not good.
Well, he's going to learn that painful lesson.
Hey, Freddie, how many times are we going to hear you say we have to execute better in your presser? You know, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up too. People are saying to me, Freddie, or Death Wish. I don't know why they started calling me Death Wish. I got no idea. When you and McDermott...
I don't look nothing like Charles Bronson.
That's exactly right. Now, when Sean McDermott and I were staring at each other down eye to eye, and that clock went down to 3 seconds, and I called the timeout. And people said, Freddie, why'd you call the timeout? And the answer to the question is, he stared me down, and he won that time. You know, I didn't execute. You know, I got to execute better. I got to coach better. You know, that's what it comes down to. We kind of lost our... You know, I lost my concentration and I shit my pants and I called the timeout. Kudos to Sean McDermott for out-coaching me. I'll do better. People want me to be joyous. I mean, look, I'm happy the team won. Don't get me wrong. But the Buffalo Bills, we made Josh Allen looked better than he is because he had a lot of time to throw the ball in a clean pocket. And he does have a rocket for an arm, but if you get him on the run, throwing off balance, he's not accurate at all. And I think you saw that in the course of the game. But unfortunately, we just, again, it's like, well, we don't want him to get the edge. We're the only team in the league that I can think of, seriously, who doesn't want to put pressure on the quarterback in the pocket because they're fearful that he'll run out of containment. If the guys who are playing defensive end just man their position and you get some penetration up the middle, then the quarterback can't just sit down in the pocket and rifle the ball over the middle. And that's what was happening far too often. Now I'm getting no, because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, nobody calls a play down to Saban, and nobody backs Baby into a corner, as long as you know.
Speaking of Baby Trump, he was savagely stabbed to death.
Who is Baby? Oh yeah, the puncture.
Yeah, the big balloon was man down, man down.
Yeah, God. Freddie is out coaching himself even. I mean, I don't know what planet he's on. I really don't know.
Jesus Christ, Kansas City lost.
Well, it can happen. Let me tell you about it. Not to us, mind you. Not to us, but they can lose. You going to throw any shovel passes in TJ Watt's direction Thursday night? Well, you know something? The only shovel that I'm going to be looking at is the one that Jimmy Haslam buries me with.
Or hits him in the head with.
Oh, yeah, with like a 2x4 in my thick skull. Oh, God. And it's funny, when we lose, the post-game show is populated with a ton of viewers. When we win, everyone's like, okay, I don't have to hear Muhead. You realize that Sergeant...
we also don't get as many... We probably aren't going to get as many Ravens fans right now because they're going to be celebrating shooting each other in the streets.
Oh my God, Lenny the cow is here. This is sacred. This is sacred. Lenny, can you get in here? Can you get into the studio? Or do you have a mobile device? I can throw the link up here. And you could be on the air. I would love to hear your mellifluous tones one more time before I die. Lenny the cow is like probably one of my 5 favorite viewers of all time. If you can, and I know you're a dad now with kids, you got things you got to do, but before he was married, before he was a father, Lenny the cow. Wow. Here comes Jake. Oh no, this is the question? Well, you know something? I went into one that I thought was going to be good, and there was this old woman who was sitting at the front with her legs spread with no underwear on, and I looked up and I was in the old cunt buffet. And I thought, but damned, if the O, the R, and the Y, that burned out on the sign, and the next thing I knew, Jed was a millionaire. I can tell you that's the worst buffet. What was the worst spread I ever seen? Let's put it that way. How you doing, Jake?
Was it shin spread?
I'm wondering, though, why would you ever run a pitch play on the weak side on 3rd and goal when there's no blockers on that side of the for Chubb? He just literally ran into three opposing players and got crushed. It's like, what was the design of that? Who did you fool?
Yes, it is a new chair, Derek. Actually, I've had it for a number of shows. But yeah, it's ergonomic, supposedly. But for my fat ass, nothing is truly ergonomic now, is it? We'll do it for Lenny. Because Lenny obviously can't call in. Lenny was famous for singing the Liberty Ford jingle. And it went something like this. Liberty's in Cleveland, Maple Heights, Parma Heights, Parma, Painesville, and it went on for about 35 minutes, okay? Thank you. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Freddie, do you get those quadruple X dog pound hoodies made special? Well, you're seeing one right here. You see, mine doesn't go around my big fat head. Belichick's goes around his head. Mine just kind of sits there limply. I mean my hood. I don't want that to be mistaken for somebody thinking I'm talking about my groinal region. I can get plenty hard, not with the players though. Hope that answers your question. Let's talk a little bit about the game. I'm just taking cheap shots at Freddie Kitchens. I mean,
I'd rather the Browns played a football game just now.
yeah, exactly. What do you make of the Higgins thing? I mean, 1 target, 1 touchdown, and that's the only
a savage block.
Yeah, but I'm saying the only target on the day for a guy who has the best chemistry with the quarterback, and I don't know if you saw, and I would love to have the screen grab on this, the picture of Freddie hugging Baker as he came off the field. And I'm not sure Baker really returned the hug, okay? I'm not sure about that. So, hey, Bronk, how you doing?
Hey, I'm in the show. Can we just also say that Josh Allen missed a lot of wide open receivers and they dropped the ball? God damn it, I was like expecting a Buffalo ass rape, but if they had completed like half of the passes that they missed, they would have fucking got their 3-4 touchdowns that I was predicting. So there you go. I think Buffalo definitely lost that game. He didn't win it. So anyway, boo.
Yeah, nice to see a big lurker UK, another great viewer here on Moohead Radio. People are asking me what if Freddie Kitchens were a WWE wrestler, what would his shtick be? And my feeling is he would drop kick when he was supposed to armbar. That's the only thing I can think of, folks, because whatever the wrong thing is to do, it seems that that's what he does. I mean, it's like 52 pickup. It's like oblique strategies of head coaching. You take 52 pieces of paper with plays, throw them in a hat, and you randomly pull one out. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, God, he's such a stubborn fucker. Like, he was determined we were going to get a touchdown on that goal line when it was clearly obvious that Siebert should have been sent out to kick a field goal at least once or twice. I mean, the dude's a stubborn dickhead. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm going to do this because Mr. Jones and me, he wants to see the face done live. I will do it for you exactly as it happened with the field goal from 52 yards because I want to explain to you that they never miss. I was telling somebody here in the house, I was saying they never missed the long field goal against the Browns, right? And I see that thing, it is going right down the middle, straight down the middle. And then all of a sudden it starts to fade. And right as it faded, I went,
Ironically, too, it's against the Bills, and it went wide left. A little reminder from the Super Bowl runs, but yeah.
Jim Kelly was was in remission until that game today.
Yeah, Freddie would hit himself with a steel chair. That's good. That's good. That would be a good shtick.
Freddie would
I saved myself from cancer for this.
Exactly. I mean,
no, they're not going to fire him off the win, Derek. That I can tell you. You know. And let's give credit where it's due. Kareem Hunt and Chubb, Jarvis, and Ward, they played their ass off. They played a great game. Ward was fantastic in coverage. Kareem Hunt was selfless in blocking. Jarvis made big receptions. And Chubb just continued to churn and continued to break tackles. The effort is tremendous on him. The motor.
Yards after being ass raped, which is how his stats should be. Like other people have yards after getting hit. He should have yards after ass raping. Was like out of this world. He was carrying like 3-4 guys downfield. It looked like a rugby scrub half the time.
You know something, Rob? Giving up is, it's kind of like Bill Clinton explaining the Monica Lewinsky situation. I did not touch. Yeah, right. That Lewinsky girl. Giving up on the Browns as a fan, yeah, I've given up because. But I do a show here, and I can only tell you what I think. And I think there were some guys who played really, really good football today. And I think, I think everyone behind the defensive line played good football today. I think the defensive line, unfortunately, and it looked like Buffalo was willing to let Josh Allen throw the ball more. Like they thought the weakness was in the secondary, but the defensive line was getting no pressure. And I think that they felt that, that Josh Allen could settle in the pocket and could find open receivers,
Well, I don't know. Look at his stats. I don't think he was much above 50% completions. He did not have a good game. So, I mean, he could have played a lot better than he did. And why not have Frank Gore run the ball against the Browns? We got a pathetic run defense. I think Buffalo really did not play well. The only sheer genius that Buffalo did in this game was to put that Landry unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the extra point. That was absolute genius. Because I think you, me, Brian, and everybody knew that we were going to miss it once that was done.
And I want to put some comments up here. The players overcame coaching today, and again, if you can look at the bizarre 3-second timeout call that made no sense, and some of the play calls that made absolutely no sense, that fucking shovel pass thing again, all of the things. I mean, there were about 5 more Freddie Kitchens bad decisions in the game, and it just so happened that this time we got our hands on the ball the last time, and we rather than going in a hurry up, we decided it was either going to be that drive, it was my way or the highway, and Death Wish decided he wasn't going to save those 2 timeouts for nothing. He was going to not hope for 2 possessions. He wasn't going to wait for the defense to hold the Bills. That drive was the whole thing.
I think Hunt knew that if he caught that shuttle pass, he would have been absolutely
beheaded.
He would have been. I mean, that's why he got out of the fucking way of it.
And that could have resulted in a fumble.
And that would have been a fumble. That would definitely have been a fumble, and then going in for 6.
Big Lurker UK. Sorry, wait. I want to answer Big Lurker UK's question. Great viewer. And he missed a game for the first time in 8 years. Wow. Yes, Hunt played well. He caught passes, great hands, blocked. Much better than I thought. And he does have yards after contact. He has strong legs. Small guy, maybe a short guy, but he's got very strong legs, and he powered through a number of tackles. I thought he played very, very well.
Massive upgrade on Dontrell Hilliard, you gotta say.
And Dontrell, looking for the punt and fumbling it, and somehow getting the ball back. I mean, that was,
he did better at tackling today.
Yeah.
Hey, Bronk, Josh Allen was 22 of 41, so 53.7%.
And that's the story on him. He's not an accurate thrower, and you could see a lot of balls thrown behind receivers, especially when he was moving out of the pocket. He has a lot of arm strength. He had one, and it would have been called back anyway on double penalties, but the wide open receiver on the bomb that somehow TJ Carey let get behind him, that's just a missed throw there. He's not a real accurate quarterback. And, their running game never really became a force in this game, which I think is Sean McDermott's big fault in this game, was relying too heavily on Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, we're critical of Freddie's play calling, but I don't think Buffalo's was any better at all. I mean, they've made it worse. They made it a lot harder for themselves to score.
Yeah, and you're right, El Presidente. Chubb, I mean, there were plays that I thought he was stopped, and he was still going 7 yards later. He's a beast. That is absolute beast mode. We're very fortunate to have that player. It's a shame that he's being squandered in a place where he doesn't get more national attention. He is the best running back in the league. And I don't think there's any question in my mind. He's playing behind a low-rated run-blocking offensive line, and he's doing so much of this on his own. The patience, the ability to find the hole and then accelerate through it and then carry people. He sees where the chains are. He gets that extra yardage, and it's all the more mystifying why they would not run him up the middle in red zone all those times. It just makes it all the more mystifying knowing he's a yard after contact kind of guy.
I mean, if Chubb was on New England, he'd have 150 yards a game average. he would be absolutely stellar if he was on a decent offensive line, a decent offensive scheme that knew what the plays were. I mean, he'd be out of this world. He's got to be an All-Pro already, and he's probably the only Browns All-Pro at this point in time.
Hi, Cindy. How you doing? Finally, happy Cindy. Yeah, it's about time we won. Isn't that the truth? And Demarius Randall made a good play in the end zone. Looked like he was beat, and
that's a poor pass, though. The pass could have been better on that one that he caught up with.
Now this is really funny. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, right now, I know that Baker was happy that they won, but boy, this game should never have been this close. It really shouldn't. If you put up, 26 points against Buffalo, you beat them. Okay. This is the kind of game Buffalo usually wins. So he did have a legitimate chance to, and I'll tell you how little respect Sean McDermott had for the Browns. He lines up, tries to get him to jump off sides to get the extra 5 yards when he was going to kick it all the time. And figuring the dumbass Browns would fall for it. I was shocked that it looks like Hauschka got under that ball. And there was just a bit too much air underneath it. And it just, I think the announcer made a good comment that there wasn't really good contact, not that brisk thud that you get, snapping sound when you hit the ball spot on. It looked good all the way, and it's like somebody took the air out of the ball, really. I mean, and it just dove left, and it was like, and I thought for sure that not only would it go through, but, when Josh Allen fumbled the ball and it went off Demetrius Randall and they fell on the ball at the half-yard line, it's like, does anything go right for this team? Does the ball ever bounce our way? Hey, and we were redeemed at the end. The ball fell to the left. Thank goodness.
Hey, we did get the one where Baker threw it straight to the other team and two guys hit each other, so the pick wasn't completed. I mean, that was lucky.
That pass was a duck. What a duck. What happened? That looked like a Billy Kilmer throw. Old football fan.
Speculated that the route wasn't correct, that Beckham should have cut it off like 5 yards earlier or something. I think that's what he was going on about on that one.
Well, that ball was wobbling. The ball was wobbling in a way. It didn't look like, I don't know. It looked like it was thrown by somebody who lacked arm strength. I don't know what in the hell that was. It was strange. And you're right, Kawaki. Why they wouldn't be targeting Rashard Higgins, knowing that they're going to be looking out for Landry and OBJ, the one thing about Higgins, he really works well in space. He's a clever, deceptive receiver, and I guess that's all the reason. Clever is the reason he's not playing, because he's playing for a coach who's not. And I agree. The 24-yard catch by Jarvis Landry is what helped win this game. Because that ball, it looks like Baker was trying to throw the ball with a little more air under it. He's been winging everything like a Chapman fastball, and he was trying to put air under it, but it kind of drifted over to the wrong shoulder. And what a beautiful adjustment by Jarvis Landry on that. You couldn't ask for more on that play. So I agree. That's a magnificent play, and it's not.
I think we had hardly any drop catches, like uncontested drop catches. We may have had a few that got knocked out of hands, but I don't think there was any drops today.
In every generation, Cindy, of Browns football, I can name you, for every Paul Warfield, there's a Gary Collins. Okay, and I can go up through time and say that for every, whoever you want to say that Brian Sipe was throwing to, there's a Dave Logan,
Reggie
there's
Rucker.
The lunch bucket guy, for every Webster Slaughter, there's an Ozzie Newsome, there's a guy who never fumbles the ball. He's a lunch bucket guy. And all the shiny objects in the world draw coverage, but the fact is, when he was left one-on-one, Higgins did what he was supposed to do. He didn't mope. He cut to the open part of the field, and he gave his quarterback a chance to make a play, and he helped the quarterback make that play. And that's what's missing on this team, is the kind of chemistry from the wide receivers. You got to remember that Baker didn't have good chemistry with Landry last year. It was with Higgins that he had the best, and he has none with OBJ up to this point. So it's all the more mystifying, again, why he's not on the field. And when he was put on the field, he made a smart play. That's who he is. He's the possession receiver that is, again, for every Cliff Branch, there's a Fred Biletnikoff, if you're a Raiders fan. I mean, you can go through history and talk about Steve Largent, You can talk about Dwight Clark, to the Ronaldo Nehemiah. You can talk, there's all kinds of examples of this, and they're not shiny objects, but they get the job done. I don't understand this question. Who are your top three? Top three what? Players of the game? Is that what we're asking? If you want to clarify that, I'd be more than happy.
Or maybe top three Browns. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, if I were to say who came up the largest, I'd say Denzel Ward came up really large because he had a burner that he had to cover, and he did a really good job on him. And that shows you the difference between he and the backup guys who weren't particularly, they did a nice job for fill-ins, but they're not first-round draft picks. They're not high picks, Ward really played a good game. I'd say that Nick Chubb deserves credit because, his legs carried it.
Wow, I got freeze.
Moo is frozen in the Freddie Kitchens confused face right now, actually.
Yeah, I can still hear everyone.
But yeah, that is.
That was like Freddie Kitchens after that fourth down play didn't work, and it's like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yes, Hunt had a hell of a game, little Ty G. I'll answer for Mark on that one. Yes, he did.
Yeah, it's Frozen. It's Frozen 2, the sequel. Get the characters out of the Hulu or the Amazon.
Hey, maybe that gator ate his antenna.
Wow. Oh, this looks like we're carrying the show.
You did see his pic of Elvis in the backyard, right?
I don't remember it. I don't know.
An 18-foot gator.
No,
that was in his backyard.
I've missed quite a few shows lately. I've had issues over.
Oh no, it was on Facebook and Twitter.
No, I'm not.
He posted a picture from his backyard of this 18-foot fucking gator just hanging out under a palm tree.
Well, I'll tell you what, where he lives in Florida, he's lucky he don't get sinkholes and have his whole house fall into some great crater. That's a big problem with all the limestone that everything's built on down there. He's lucky that doesn't happen.
Oh, I think your conversation's on now.
Hello? Oh, are we still on? I think we're still on.
Yeah, we're still on.
We're still going.
So
but
we're carrying the show here.
Right now, yeah.
You know, an interesting point I noticed?
I want to apologize. Thanks for keeping the ball rolling, guys. My computer rebooted.
It had enough. It had enough of this fucking shitty team. God.
Damn. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
For the panel here, I'll throw a panel question out here. Let's say, for some reason, the Browns, because of this weird-ass week schedule and all these home games and all these division games, we somehow managed to go 5-3 or 6-2 in the last 8, and we end up with 7-9 or 8-8. Please don't keep Freddie, even if we do that. No. Is there a chance that Freddie still stays if we have a winning record in the last 8 games?
They sell frozen beef at the supermarket, so back off. It was It was not me. It was oh, I got to catch up. I'm sorry. I missed out on a bunch of stuff there.
No, you did. This is bullshit anyway. You didn't miss anything.
And you know something? I really believe that you're never going to get value for Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, no, you can't trade him.
He played a great game today. I think he really helped us. We needed Odell today.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't know that you can get a premier lineman and all of that. I did want to point out that Zeitler is playing like shit for the Giants, and I want to point out something too. When I explain this to people, it's like Zeitler goes to a team and he gave up last year the entire season 11 pressures. He's already given up 13 as of this week's game, halfway through the season. So. But he's playing for a lousy team in a system he's not familiar with, surrounded by offensive linemen he's not familiar with. So I don't think that Zeitler became a worse player. I think that he just, he
went to a worse circumstance.
Not only that, but he's playing alongside people he doesn't know. And it's just like Baker Mayfield being thrust into an offense that he didn't know. I mean, you either put people in a position to succeed, or Zeitler knew when Batonio was on one side of him, and he knew who was there. Another thing I want to point out is that Greg Robinson is horrible. Greg Robinson, if you want to point out who the worst player in the game was, it's him. I mean, he's like a fucking dancing bear out there. I mean, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Him and Chad Thomas, they're both horrible.
We'd be better off with Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson.
We'd be better off with Chad Thomas, the singer.
First thoughts on the Bills fumbling into the first down.
Yeah, well, you know what you need to do? you got to do one impression per game, and I'm requesting the safety be called by Peter Alice.
Peter Alice on the safety. All right,
Peter Alice on the Baker Mayfield.
I got to get right up on the microphone. I got to. Oh, and the Browns are lining up with the empty backfield. Oh, this is Peter Alice from the BBC. I've seen this formation before, and it's not going to end up very pretty for the Cleveland Browns. Here's the snap. Oh, you didn't have a second look on that. There was no read available. Sacked in the end zone. Oh, you were wondering how we could convert 9-7 into 9-9 without it being a World Series baseball game. Oh, Freddie. Oh. All right.
That was the Peter Alice moment of the game.
Yeah, it's, And what's the holdup getting rid of Freddie?
John Dorsey?
No.
I think it's Haslam, to tell you the truth. I think Dorsey would love to get rid of him.
I think it's D. Haslam. I think Freddie and D got something going on.
Yeah, I think Landry really played well. I think OBJ played okay. I don't know. I mean...
Wow.
This is all Greg Robinson. I mean, well, this is something that we talked about. Nobody would have suggested a completely inexperienced guy to be head coach. But you have to understand. I said this before the beginning of the whole season, and it was the thing that worried me the most. Jimmy Haslam always has his puppet in the thick of this. All right. And when he brought Dorsey in and he brought Wilkes in, it's like, those aren't.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Freddie gets the job. That is the tampering of the owner. And that is, the hand of COD. It's unfortunate, but that's Haslam interjecting himself into the proceedings.
It's nearly as bad as the Johnny Manziel draft pick. I mean, that had Haslam written all over it, too. So, I mean, it's got to be him and D.
I'm talking Shiite?
Shia? The Shias.
About Baker. No, Saul. I'm telling you that Baker is in this system that nobody comprehends. And if you're going to really get down on Baker, I'd rather see him playing a third offense, because he was good at the first one. He's not good at this one. And I'd like a referendum. I'm not going to talk shit about a guy, but I'm comparing him to Zeitler. You go to a team where you're playing amongst people you're not familiar with. It's like, oh, here's OBJ. Here's Kareem Hunt. I know you have no timing with these people, but here, go ahead, go out there and try to win a football game. At the professional level, I don't think that's really,
I think you put the offensive talent we've got right now with Chubb and Baker and the wide receivers and our shitty offensive line. You give that to Lindy and Fonnie 30 years ago, and we have a fucking legitimate playoff team. You give it to this shit that's going on now, or Shia, we don't.
And Javon, it's true. I'm not going to tell you that Baker's been really good this year, because I think he's throwing the ball behind his receivers and his timing isn't good. But I think it's all part and parcel, playing in a system he's not familiar with and with players and linemen that he's not familiar with. He seems to have lost his magic of escaping. I mean, he's having trouble escaping one pass rusher now, as opposed to like three he would make miss, and he would emerge, keep his head upfield, and look downfield. It's not happening this year. There just isn't that solidarity and familiarity with the people around him, and I think that's the issue.
Well, not only that, the system it goes against all of his natural instincts that got him to be successful at Oklahoma and got him and what Freddie drew out of him with the Todd Haley playbook.
Kawaki, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. And as an employee, I'm sure that Baker Mayfield figured that it would be maybe a more pleasant environment with this guy as the head coach. And he did endorse him. I'm telling you, I want the screen grab of the final, maybe a GIF of Baker coming off the field and Freddie Kitchens going to hug him. I want to see the expression on Baker Mayfield's face, because I don't know.
I'm sure they'll come out a bit like the Hugh Jackson moment last year, where he kind of like.
I mean, after he'd thrown the touchdown pass to, of all people, Rashard Higgins, who was benched and they wouldn't let play. It seems to me it's an odd moment for Freddie to be wanting to hug on Baker.
This is a win that can show you that he's lost control of the team. I
want to see the look on his face, just like I saw the look on LeBron James' face when Miami lost in the playoffs, and I knew what was going to happen. I want to see the look on Baker Mayfield's face, because I will know something by the look on his face. Other than that, I don't think. I mean, it's kind of like Hugh Jackson extending his hand, like Baker Mayfield is going to shake his fucking hand. It's like, get that out of my face. This hug. I want to see that. So if anybody has that moment on footage, I really want to see that.
Well, I'm sure it'll come out. I'm confident in the internet these days that somebody will have that put it out.
All right. Well, all's well, I guess, that ends well. I can check some of the stats before I get out of here.
Well, I really do not want that same situation we had in, what was it, 2010 or 9, when Mangini went 1-11, and he won his last 4 fucking games, and people said, oh, we got to keep Mangini because he's on a roll and he's won the last 4 games. I don't want that to happen in this case. I want to see Freddie gone, regardless of whether we win the next 8 games. Fuck it.
And Baker was 26 of 38 for 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And that's a clean game, and that's all you can ask for in this offensive scheme from Baker Mayfield. Chubb consistently averaging over 5 yards a carry.
Jim fucking Brown was the only player to do that before.
Yep. I mean, Landry caught 9 passes for 97 yards. Beckham 5 for 57. Kareem Hunt 7 for 44. Demetrius Harris 2. And then there's Rashard Higgins with 1 for 7. Can you believe it?
And the touchdown.
Yeah, and the touchdown.
Hey, if we had 1 turnover in that game, we would have lost.
Yeah, I mean, we would have literally, if that would have been declared a fumble with the league cheating us, which could have easily happened,
They could have called that a fumble regardless, you know.
So, you know, and as far as, yeah, and another thing, you know, when you need a kickoff return just for position, don't fake an end around off the kickoff.
That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous.
What kind of hairy high school shit is that? God, make that stop.
Yeah, that didn't work back at Parma High 40 years ago either.
I mean, and look at Bojorquez, the punter, averaged 50 yards a punt.
Wow.
And Gillen damn near did too.
Gillen's perfect on safeties, man. When you give him the ball on that free kick on the 20, he kicks it all the way down to the opposition's 10-yard line, man. He is the best kicker on safeties ever, I think.
All right, I got to get out of here because I got to do some grilling before the sun goes down because I got to grill my dinner. Hey, thanks to you guys, man, for bailing my ass off when my computer rebooted. I appreciate that.
That never happened during a show. You know, all the times I've watched it. Okay.
No, I mean, of all times to reboot, I don't even know why it didn't put an update. That's the thing that's really weird. There was no Windows update. I don't know why it did it, but it did it had a mind of its own. Kind of like Freddie has no mind of his own. I just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning into the program, and I hope that you're happy with the results of the game, and better to win than to lose. There's no question about that. We got a short week to get ready for Pittsburgh, and we'll see if Pittsburgh and Cleveland is still truly a rivalry or what it is. But at least we get to go in feeling good that we won the goddamn game. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of the Postgame Show. Back again tomorrow on Moohead Radio, 6 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be here to talk a little bit more seriously about the Browns and what they have coming up on Thursday. Take care, everybody, and until tomorrow, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.